Hello and welcome to Froch on Fighting. My name is Carl Froch, MBE, the Cobra, former unified super middleweight world boxing champion. And, just in case you forgot, I'm an International Boxing Hall of Famer. You can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast. Give it a 5-star review, give it a like and a thumbs up. This episode is brought to you by Cobra Casino. Right, it's been a few days since Better Be a Bivol and that great undercard out in Saudi. Really enjoyed it. If you've not seen it already, get a look at my post-fight reaction here on Froch on Fighting. He did some mad numbers. Thank you very much for that. And there's been quite a few developing stories since, and we're going to get into that as well. But before we do, something was brought to my attention last week that I'm not very happy about, if I'm totally honest. It takes a lot to upset the Cobra, and I've got thick skin, as you know. But Eddie Hearn, aka Eddie Hills, had something to say about me. And you know, like I said, I can take it on the chin as good as I give it, but one thing I won't do is stand for inaccurate statements. So Eddie Hills, and we'll get to why we'll call him Eddie Hills in a minute, we'll have a bit of fun with that. He's been calling me, well, he's called me again, an AJ hater. And he said that I didn't give AJ any credit for staying in there for the Dubois fight.
Carl Froch, who, let's be honest, and listen, I've got personal, great history with Carl Froch. But I would have to say, he's an Anthony Joshua hater. He is. If Carl Froch is not prepared to give Joshua the credit of the heart he showed in that fight, then he's a hater. Like, because you talk on one hand about this guy who doesn't want it anymore, but yet he's training harder than he's ever trained. He's getting battered in that ring, and he's getting up, and he's holding on for dear life, and he's trying to find a way back into the fight. Then he finds a way back into the fight. Then he goes for the kill. Then he gets chinned. Why don't you just say, AJ was poor, but I've got to say, fucking hell, fair play. He showed some nuts, because he did show unbelievable heart. Anybody who's not got an agenda will say, fair play. Like, I know you box shit, but fuck, you never stop trying, mate.
And if you check your facts and go back and check the post-fight reaction on Froch on Fighting, you'll see that I gave Anthony Joshua plenty of credit. He got dropped in round 1, he was badly hurt on shaky legs, and he survived for another 4 rounds. He survived until the end of round 5, until he got ironed out. And I said, he went out on his shield. He was in there, he was taking punishment, and he never had any quit in him. He stayed in there, and anybody can see that Anthony Joshua, even though he was out of his depth because he was under the cosh from round 1, right through to the blowout in round 5, he needed respect and credit for staying in there and not quitting, and that's exactly what I gave him. So Eddie Hearn giving me a bit of shit and saying that I'm an AJ hater, it's not right, it's inaccurate, and that's why I'm pulling him on it. Me and AJ go back a lot further than Eddie Hills does. We've known each other a lot longer. I used to train with him at the IS. We had the same coach. Actually, after the fight, I'm the guy that's gone to him, messaged him, had a conversation with him, asking him if he's okay. I'm more concerned about his health than how much money he's earning me, because I'm not the promoter taking the dough off the fighters. I'm the guy that's worried, because I understand boxing. I've been in there, I've been punched in the face. I know what it feels like to wake up in the morning after a loss when you're concussed. I know how that feels. So I reached out to Anthony Joshua, we had a good conversation. He called me a mentor, which was really nice. And I don't think Eddie Hearn understands the relationship that me and Anthony Joshua have got. We've got a profound respect for each other because we're both warriors, we're both fighters. So for Eddie Hearn to give me shit and try and write me off and say I'm an AJ hater, it's not the script. So Eddie, get your facts straight before you start talking nonsense about the Cobra. Come on the channel, Froch on Fighting, the biggest and best and most viewed boxing channel in the business. You do hundreds of YouTube interviews on the build up to a fight, but you don't come back on Froch on Fighting. What's wrong with you? What are you scared of? Let me know in the comments if you want to see Eddie Hearn, aka Eddie Hills, on Froch on Fighting to talk all things boxing. So where does the name Eddie Hills come from? It comes from Porky's Corner, a YouTube channel. This is a guy that says things that other people didn't say. He's got a big mouth, the biggest gob in sport apparently. But anyway, Eddie Hearn went under the name Eddie Hills because he didn't want the name getting out there because of obviously Matchroom and Barry Hearn. But apparently he's had some amateur fights, but there's no footage. And I've got footage from my amateur fight in 1987 when I was 10 years old. So I've got my reservations, but for now, is Eddie Hills, the 6-0 Iceman, 4 by way of, from Billericay. Let me know in the comments if you've seen any footage. But anyway, in all seriousness, sticking with Anthony Joshua, I honestly don't think he should be jumping straight back in with an immediate rematch with Daniel Dubois. If the fight had gone differently, if he was in the fight and then he got caught with a one-shot cold knockout like some heavyweights do because they're big punchers, then there's an argument for an immediate rematch. But I just think that AJ needs to sit back, take his time, have a bit of time off, have a reflection on what happened, get in the gym, maybe do a bit of light sparring, and then I think maybe just look at what happens with Usyk and Fury in the rematch. I've said it before. That gives him a bit of time out, lets him gather his thoughts, see how badly he wants to get back in the ring, see how much he needs this game anymore, because it's the hurt game. It's a painful, hurtful business. It's potentially really, really damaging on your health. So you have to take that into consideration when you've made the money that he's made. How much does he need it? So I think sit back and wait and see what happens with Fury Usyk. If Fury gets beat by Usyk, which, let's be honest, he's probably the underdog, he's saying all the right things, and I think Fury's got a chance in regaining these belts, but when he knows what's happened with the result of that fight, Anthony Joshua can have a look and say, right, I've got two guys there. I've got Usyk who's already beat me twice. I've got Fury. If Fury just loses again, then there's a big fight there. Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. As long as that happens within the next year to 18 months, that's a massive fight. It will fill Wembley Stadium. It'll be a massive payday before he finishes his career. And if he can beat Tyson Fury, he'll finish his career on an unbelievable high. And he can exit the game with his chin held high, proud of himself, a big smile on his face, saying, I won that grudge match. The fight that everybody was waiting for, I've signed out on the back of that one. Similar to Kell Brook and Amir Khan. So I think that's what Anthony Joshua should be doing. And I dig my heels in. I do not think he should be jumping in there with Daniel Dubois. That is dangerous. So moving away from AJ and Hills, I want to talk about a big fight and big talking point from the weekend. Liam Cameron against Ben Whittaker. Has the hype train of Ben Whittaker been derailed? It's not a good look for him. He's getting a lot of negativity from social media. Liam Cameron and Ben Whittaker, they had 4 rounds, and they ended up over the top rope. If you've not already seen it, go back. It was bizarre. Ben Whittaker started strong, putting shots together. Cameron was under the cosh, and then he turned it around from about as early as towards the end of round 2, round 3, he started putting Ben Whittaker under pressure and trouble that he'd not been under before. And Ben Whittaker looked like he was struggling. Anyway, they both ended up coming together because Whittaker was holding tight. They went over the top rope, went crashing down on the side of the canvas, and Ben Whittaker stayed down. He apparently damaged his ankle. We don't know if he's damaged his ankle. Only he knows the truth. A lot of people saying that he's quit. I'm not going to call him a quitter. I think that's unfair because he left on a wheelchair. But he knows when he looks in the mirror, only he knows the truth as to whether or not he quit. But I'm pleased to say I'm joined here by Liam Cameron on Froch on Fighting. So many big talking points from the weekend, and you seem to have stolen the show. Can you tell me, Liam, what was the game plan going into this fight?
The game plan was we knew it with the good amateur boxing, it was going to be good for 3 rounds. I thought when the fight first got announced, I thought, people are going to look at my losses. That's when I was like middleweight and middle. This weight, I'm a big puncher, and the sparring and stuff, I hurt people, and I thought this is going to be hard for him. So it was sharp and accurate. Then from second round, it was gassed. I was like, wow, he's knackered. Just alone on fitness, he wouldn't have got through the 10 rounds. And the mad thing is, it was trying to fight me. It was screaming when it was going, ah. And I thought, he's spent it. He's putting everything into his shots. My plan was to get him after 6. I weren't loading up. I was just stopping the shots as it were hitting him. And he were in for big trouble after them rounds because he wouldn't have survived. Honestly, I would have stopped him. He was exhausted. And yeah, with the airport thing, he totally ripped piss at me all the way through it. I'm a gentleman and I always like to keep it that way. I can shake your hand, I can have a chat with you. And they had body bag season t-shirts, and I'm from Sheffield, and we've seen a lot of casualties in Sheffield through boxing. One of my good mates, Jerome Wilson, got a bad brain bleed, and it really affects you watching people like that get hurt, and it just take a bit out of you. And I've got kids at home, and I love my kids to bits and my family, and it really hurt me.
So this was at the airport, and they was wearing T-shirts that said body bag time. Obviously, that's just part of the promotion and part of sort of having a bit of fun. But I agree, it's in bad taste. You don't really want to be seeing and reading that, especially when you're the opponent. But did they see you at the airport, and did you have any sort of altercation with them whilst you was there?
I just like nodded my head over to him, went to shake his hand, and he just completely blanked me. And I thought, crazy. His team were weird all fight week, blanking you and stuff. I just thought, you've got the two top men on the table, Arthur Bertebiev, and he's so polite and nice and got time for everyone. And you've got this clown with glasses on showing his Rolex and stuff. Ben said he'd come out with hard beginnings. And if you've come from hard beginnings like me, I never had anything. And I'll never change. No matter how much money I get. And I just think it were all fake with Rolex and making music videos. And I thought, bide your time, Liam, and you'll get him.
So during the fight, when you said he was getting tired in round 2, you knew it was a 10-rounder, and you're thinking, right, he's tired already. Round 3, round 4, do you think he was looking for a way out?
Yeah, 100%. What people don't see, I were hitting him to the body and he were wincing. Just
I saw the
before,
body shots.
just before he flipped himself over at ropes, I sunk him with a left hook to the liver and it took everything out of him. He desperately tried to hold me, and you can see on the freeze frame, he chucks his head back and pulls me. That has never happened in a spar with me with anything. And he proper flipped me out ropes. And just the funny thing is, no one asked if I were all right. The security were trying to hold me down, but it's all about, is Ben Whittaker all right? I landed on my neck and I got up. You've got Fraser.
It looked awkward. It did
got
look awkward. So did you hurt? I'll ask you. Did you hurt yourself, or was you okay? Just took a bit of a stumble.
my neck. I landed full blown on my neck. It were a big shot. 1 minute I'm battering him, next time on floor, and yeah, my neck. Grant run over. Getting back in ring, Liam, and as a true champion, I were ready to continue. We got Fraser Clark. His cheekbone, he had a big hole in his head. He walked out of the ring. Ben Whittaker were wheelchaired out of the ring.
Yeah, I mean, when he was he holding on to you really tight? Because you had his back against the ropes. You was marching forward, and he was hanging on to you. Did you feel him grabbing you and holding you tight?
Yeah, because
that's a man that's in
he grabbed me, proper holding me, and he were holding me on way down, and I'm like, he's deliberately done it. His corner team, apparently, what people have heard, I don't want to mention names, a few said that he said, stay down, pretend you're hurt, something like that. They wanted it to go to the scorecards, but I 100% thought I were up. He had a good first 2 rounds, and that were it.
Yeah, so it was tight on the cards by the judges, and it ended up being it was a draw, wasn't it? Split like not even a no contest, just a split decision draw, because 4 rounds have been completed. Because that's what happens if it goes to a cut and you've completed 4 rounds. So obviously you wasn't happy with the draw. And how do you think the fight was going to go after that? I mean, obviously you think you was starting to get in front and he was tiring, but you've got another 6 rounds of you putting it on him, hitting him around the body. Do you just think he wouldn't have lasted?
No, he wouldn't have. He 100% wouldn't have lasted. He was so tired, and I could feel it. His shots, there were nothing in him. His speed weren't there. I were hitting him. His gum shield, spat his gum shield out, and I looked down and it was full of blood. And I said, "Look, Ben, look at your gum shield. It's full of blood." Totally. Do you know what it is? Hand on my heart, I do feel very bad for him. I feel bad for him. It's like I've ruined his career a bit, but he's done it to everyone. He's done it to his opponents who are journeymen, and this is payback. This is what the British public begged me to do, and I've done it.
Yeah, well, I was going to touch on that. I was going to say this isn't a beat up Ben Whittaker session. I was going to say I don't personally feel that he pulled you over the top, as in tried to go over the top rope, Royal Rumble style. I remember the American wrestling when they go over the top rope. I don't think he tried to go over the top rope, but he was certainly holding you. And then when he did go over the top rope and you both went crashing down, I do personally feel that he made a big deal of it and kind of looked for a way out myself. I'll be honest, that's what I do here on Froch on Fighting. I tell the truth. And I do think that he thought to himself, actually, do I really want to go back in the ring with Liam Cameron for another 6 rounds when I'm struggling and it's under the cosh? That was a massive learning fight for him, a big wake-up call, and it was probably a humbling experience because he does go in there and he's part of his show. I don't think he means any disrespect. I've met him a couple of times. He is quite a nice young man, nice, polite young man. But don't forget, he is a showman. You know what I mean? He's trying to sell the show. He does a lot of show. He didn't do much showboating with you, though. Let's be fair. He didn't want to switch on the old razzmatazz showboating. And I did say that when he steps up and when someone fights back and puts it on him and starts hitting him, that showboating will go out the window. Unless you've named Prince Nassim Hamid, then it's hard to maintain that kind of a show because it takes power, it takes energy out of your tank. It does to keep that up. And when the shot's coming back at you, you should be more concerned about defending yourself and not getting punched. So I think we can both agree, kind of look for a way out. I think people on social media and the general consensus is that you was on top of him, you was getting to him, and if the fight would have gone the distance, you would have won. So you can take a lot from that. Do you think you'll get the rematch? Do you think he'll even entertain it?
It is in a bad position. I started Instagram last year. Didn't have many followers. I have now. He needs it. He can't win. He either takes rematch and gets beat fair and square, or he takes another route, a warm-up fight, and comes back. Then everyone's going to slaughter him for it. It's got to be an immediate rematch for him to show face.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, exactly. Can you just remind everyone of your Instagram? I'll make sure I give it a follow. But for people that listen to this,
I actually met you. I watched your son's first fight, and I had a picture with you. And you,
oh, you know what? He was in Mansfield.
yeah, and I had a picture.
Yeah, I was too busy thinking about my son and worried about it because it was his first fight, wasn't it? And I was like, everyone was on me. But I can remember your face now.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, has he got one of them recognisable faces? Or do I actually know? So we did meet in Sheffield. Yeah, well, nice to see you again, mate. Sorry, I couldn't bloody remember.
My Instagram's Liam Cameron Boxer.
Liam Cameron Boxer. Give him a follow. I think I already do follow you because we had a chat and I got your social media up at the time. You know what?
You followed me on Twitter, yeah.
Mate. But no, listen, I just wanted to get you on just to get your take on it again and make sure you're okay and see if you had any news on if you've not heard anything from their side then regarding a rematch. No. But you have since signed a promotional deal with Bricktop, aka Frank Warren, and congratulations on that. I bet you're pleased about that, aren't you?
Yeah, I want to thank Frank Warren. He's the only one. I've never ever had any backing. And Frank Warren, lovely guy. He shook my hand and I said, well done for what you've done for British boxing. I'm a big fan. I've watched you for years. I'm telling you, it's mad seeing all these faces. And yeah, I appreciate him giving me the opportunity. I've never had it. I've never had anything like this.
We know what, that's brilliant that is. So congratulations on that. And obviously Frank Warren is a big promoter. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And he's been in the game years. So now you'll probably get matched up a bit better. You'll get looked after a bit more. And hopefully you can earn a few quid because that's why you're in the game. You're not in the game to get punched up and not get paid. So hopefully you can start earning some money. And if you've got a bit more time as well, you might be able to train. Because do you train full time for these fights, or are you holding the job down whilst you're doing it?
It's been hard. I'll tell you a story. When I first come to the gym, I didn't have £10 to my name. I got some hand-me-down boots. Grant gave me some gloves and stuff. Some old wraps. I know it's embarrassing to say, but I want to show people that how low you can be in life. I didn't have no money. I spent it all. And yeah, I've just worked it. I didn't think there were a light at the end of the tunnel. I just thought I'm going to have a couple of fights, earn a few grand and that's it. But wow, what a journey. I'd never expected this.
Well, listen, hard work, dedication, commitment, and boxing, amateur boxing clubs and professional boxers as well. A lot of them come from humble beginnings. So you're not on your own. I can remember being with David Hay in the World Championships in Liverpool. And when he got out of the ring, I think he got a bad decision against Fragomeni, who was the Italian champion. And that was an Olympic qualifier for the Sydney Olympics. And he actually had a hole in the bottom of his boots and a massive blister working through the hole. I remember speaking to Steve Bunce, one of the journalists there, and he's like, David Hay's got a hole in the bottom of his boots and he's fighting in an Olympic qualifier. But that's what it's like. That's the thing about boxing. That's for me why it's the best sport in the world, because you can come from nowhere and you can change your life. And it looks like that's what's happening with you now. So all I'd say to you, Liam, is stick with it, mate. you can obviously fight. You're tough. You looked good for me against Ben Whittaker. You was looking good, and you're built for the pros because you've got the fitness and the toughness, and you can bang a little bit as well. So all the best to you, mate. I really mean that from the heart.
Thank
All
you
good
very
luck to you.
much. It's like
And
only 1 year today I started back boxing as well.
really, just 1 year.
1 year.
And what are you now? How old are you now?
I'm
30,
33.
33 years old. So you can have you're in your peak now. So you need to get a move on. But now
I
you've
feel
got Frank
I
Warren
feel
behind you.
16 in my head though, so hopefully that's a good thing.
Yeah, I do as well. The problem with that is I'm 47. I still feel 60. Right, Liam. Before I let you go, can you just tell me what the reaction's been like on social media after this fight?
It's been amazing. Everyone's shown me so much love. Like I said, I started with 2,000 followers. I think I've got 10,000 now. And the support has been unreal. The views are crazy. My phone's pinging now as I'm on this wheel. And I don't want to swipe it up and press it and cut interview out. So I'm a bit worried of that. Crazy. It's been unbelievable.
Oh, wicked. Well, listen, thoroughly deserved because you fought well, and hopefully you'll get your rematch. And good luck with your new promotional deal with Frank Warren.
Thank you.
It's all a bit of a whirlwind for you, but you know what you've got to do. Just keep training hard, keep believing, and you can achieve anything as far as I'm concerned. But thanks for joining me on Froch on Fighting, and we'll probably have a chat soon, mate.
Thanks
Take
for
care.
having me. Means a lot.
Right, so that's it. It's a wrap for Froch on Fighting for another week. Just want to say a big thanks to my guest, Liam Cameron. Thanks for coming on. Who else do you want to see? I'm in talks with Joseph Parker, Lennox Lewis. We're having some back and forth. Hopefully get Lewis on. He's actually doing a little tour in England later this year. November, I might be hooking up with him actually in Sheffield. Little shout out to Lennox Lewis there on his meet and greet event. What a legend he is in the game. The former undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, and what a fighter he was as well. But let me know who you want me to get on. Give me some notes in the comments. But for now, this has been another episode of Froch on Fighting with me, Carl Froch. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this. It's the best channel in the business, innit, if I do say so myself. See you next time.